Up in just minutes. Clay, Shay, Fox 23 News at 9 can start now.
In fact, I'm Shay Rozzi.
I'm Clay Loney. Let's get right to it. We have all kinds of video to show you from across the state today and into the evening. The storms have produced strong, powerful winds. We have tornadoes seen here and heavy rain, and we are not done yet.
In fact, we've seen a tornado in parts of Oklahoma, and then all the significant rainfall Brad was just talking about is leading to the street flooding across our area. So far, initial injury or damage reports are very few and far between. Now, the severe weather team has traveled more than 1,000 miles covering these storms today, and we are back out in the thick of it tonight, starting with Chief Meteorologist James Adelot.
Well, as we look right into the metro area, heavy rain, flooding is our #1 concern. But remember, we've talked periodically from time to time about that front that's helped focus little spin ups and rotations. And we're probably seeing that again just to the south of Manford right now. You can actually see kind of a little hook shape with that. As we check velocity too, you can actually see we're increasing a little bit of low level rotation with this storm. So far, we're not seeing enough to prompt a tornado warning, but we definitely have these red outbounds here. Greens back toward the radar. So this is just to the east of Highway 48. Here's Highway 33. Here's 51. So this is passing to the south of Manford. But we'll be watching this very closely. It's weak for now, but as we've seen through the day, these weak rotations can occasionally amount to at least some spin-up tornado threat for us. So still a lot of thunder and lightning in the metro area right now. That storm appears to be our main focus for any kind of severe or rotation, at least for now. So just to the south of Manford, as that moves to the northeast, we'll put a track on this just to give folks a little bit of a heads up as this moves to the northeast. It's going to be moving kind of across Sand Springs. Let me try that track again. And this looks like, yeah, we're taking some lightning hits here. We just lost some equipment here, and it's kind of toying with the hand tracking just a little bit. So I'm going to run over here. We'll clear this off. And again, this is the spot we're looking at. And if this continues moving to the northeast, 30 miles per hour or so, we're going to watch this really closely for Lotsie, Wakaiwa Road, and all the way towards Sand Springs, Prattville, and TCC West Campus, and the Armory there too. So that's going to be the spot that we're watching. Now, were we going to, okay, let's check in with Laura Mock. Laura?
Yeah, as we take a look at the big picture of things, I wanted to put this on an hour loop just to give you an idea of how things have been developing over the past couple of hours. This large line of rain has been slowly coming down to the south into the Tulsa area. And we also have a lot of moisture to the south, too, that's feeding into all this. That's why we've seen some of these more isolated storms develop just to the south. Unfortunately, with this setup, we're going to be seeing so much more rain coming directly into the Tulsa area, feeding into all of that rain and the flooding potential, too. We still have a tornado watch in effect for pretty much all of Green Country. Our Kansas counties have been excluded from that now, but this goes until 1 a.m. because we still have the potential for some quick spin-up tornadoes. As we go through the next couple of hours, here's how things are going to be playing out. We're going to be dealing with that line that's setting up over Tulsa now for a couple of hours. Then as we get into the evening hours, the overnight hours, we're going to start to see more showers and storms developing off to the west, heading in our direction, leading to even more rain. And for an idea on just how much rain has already fallen across parts of the area, we continue our Fox 23 severe weather team coverage with certified meteorologist Brad Carl.
Yeah, overall, here's a kind of a look at how much rainfall we've already dealt with in many of those spots. And as I was just showing you just a few moments ago, a real big winner in terms of just how much we've seen stacking them up has been Pawnee with just over 5 inches of rainfall. This is a lot. This is exactly in the area where we do not need additional rainfall. We've seen a lot of rainfall in this spot over the last week or two, and so having additional rainfall going into the same river basin, the Arkansas River, is concerning because it's basically just become super saturated and there's nowhere else for that water to soak into other than going into spots like Caw Lake and also into areas around the Arkansas River and Keystone Lake. Closer to around 4 inches of rain is how much we've seen fall in Winona, closer to 3 around Talala and Nowata. And a lot of these, especially Talala, Nowata, and Skytook, have jumped by about 1 inch in the last hour. So this has really been ramping on up as these storms have been very efficient rainfall producers for us. Now, James, you continue to track that heavy rainfall threat as well as the lingering severe threat we have across parts of Green Country, too.
Indeed. Look at this view. This is the live picture on our Fox 23 Skyview Network camera. This is Tulsa International Airport. You can see incredible wind, probably 40, 50 miles per hour, and the rain blowing nearly horizontally in this shot, in this severe thunderstorm. So wind gusts to 60 miles per hour, very heavy rain. And with this level of rain, it won't take long to generate some big time street flooding for us. So Clay, Shay, we're also going to watch that rotation. It's weak for now, southeast of Manford, but we're watching it very closely. It's in a bad spot, so we're very suspicious of it.
All right, let's take a look at some of the water backing up tonight in Hominy. Catherine Johnson, the owner of Simple Simon Pizza there, shot this video. You can see all the water in the street there near Eastern and Main. Little car trying to get through it. The rain has really been coming down. You see in Hominy at times the wind again blowing it sideways. As Johnson told us, the water was halfway up the driveway to a restaurant.
Right, and we do not want you to drive through water like that.
Oh, goodness. One of the biggest concerns is this latest round of rain on top of the recent flooding.
Yeah, something we don't need. And we've been showing you the water release that's gone on for the last 2 weeks now from Keystone Dam. Fox 23's Justin Ayer was there earlier tonight. He joins us live with what's being done to try and keep areas from flooding. Justin.
We actually had to take shelter here at the Sand Springs Police Department. Where we were at Keystone Dam was under a tornado warning. What I can tell you is that Keystone officials tell me they're releasing less water than they were last week, 60,000 cubic feet per second, instead of the 100,000.
I'm Fox 23 Chief Meteorologist James Adela. You may have heard another WEA tone out. That is a tornado warning now in effect for parts of Tulsa County. We've got a tornado that could be occurring very close to Tulsa International Airport. Another tornado just to the southeast of Manford. Those are the tornadoes that we were showing you, the potential circulations that we were showing you as well. Now, I want to take a look at our Skyview Network camera because we're looking right in at Tulsa International Airport. And we just showed you that just a few minutes ago, just how fast some of that rain was going. And again, as we look up at Tulsa International Airport, probably just to the southeast of Tulsa International Airport is the strongest rotation. I'm looking at it right now on a high-resolution Doppler radar. Phil, you've got the camera. You point it southeast here. Nope, too far. Right there. You're probably good. So I'm going to kick back over as we go back into Doppler radar mode because I'm going to do 2 storm tracks, and then we're going to show you precisely where these potential tornadoes are. So one located right here on the southwestern corner of Tulsa County. As that moves to the northeast, that's going to be moving towards Sand Springs and Prattville. I need you all to take your tornado precautions immediately. Lotsie, Wakiowa, Prattville, Sand Springs, Oakhurst, and Webster High School. Let me clear that one off. We've got another rotation. This just to the southeast of Tulsa International Airport right here. That one also moving to the northeast, and that tornado warning is going to be extended all the way up toward the Claremore area, including most of Catoosa and Verdigris, Tiger Community on East Pine Street. There's the Port, Verdigris, all the way up toward Claremore and Rogers State College. Let's zoom in right now with high-resolution Doppler radar. Let me get rid of the airport camera. I'm going to bring in a Doppler radar picture right now, and this is what we're looking at. This is actually really strong rotation. Here's Admiral Twin. This is 244 right here in the southwest, in the kind of lower right-hand part of your screen right here. I'll get it right up in here. And this is what we're looking at, 244. There's 169. So we've got very strong rotation taking place right here as we continue to watch that rotation develop. Now, let's go further to the west now, too, because we've got the rotation that is on the southwest corner of Tulsa County. This is what we're seeing, the strong reds and the brighter reds here, a little bit of green right here. That is the potential tornado. This is just south of Keystone Dam. And as that moves to the east-northeast, that's going to be very close to Prattville. And as it continues moving to the east, you can actually see the hook shape in that storm. Now, let's go back to our other storm that's just to the southeast of Tulsa International Airport right now. And this is certainly kind of picked up that very roundish look that we've got the potential for a tornado occurring. We're also getting some very strong winds on the left side of your screen. We're looking kind of straight to the southeast on our Fox 23 Skyview Network camera. strong winds sweeping east, getting into some of these darker blues, and we're probably seeing winds hitting 60 miles per hour. But we're looking right up along 169 for any potential that we've got some circulation developing. We certainly do, right around Garnett and I-244, and we've got some rotation. We got really strong winds right now just to the northwest, or northeast, I should say, of the National Weather Service office there on 11th and 169, just to the north of East Central High School. So this is going to be close to Kerr Elementary School, close to Lincoln Christian Academy. It's going to be, looks like the main brunt of this, maybe just very close to Lewis and Clark, and points to the north as well, as we watch this rotation forming just to the southeast of Tulsa International Airport. So this is a very serious situation if you are in that area, Tiger community, Lincoln Christian, back up all the way toward Catoosa. You need to be watching this very closely. I'm going to zoom back in. We're going to take a look again at high-resolution Doppler radar just to the southeast of the airport now. It's not as apparent on that Doppler radar picture, but it certainly is as you look at it on the terminal Doppler radar, maybe just to, well, very close to Lincoln Christian right now. I'm going to put this into motion. That's going to help me kind of diagnose. You see that red, so we may, right in here, I'm just advancing through, and you can see very close to Admiral Twin is where this thing starts. So we had some outbounds here, inbounds back here. So we had that circulation forming right in here. Now that moves to the northeast. Looks like it reached its peak right here at Mingo and I-244. That's when the circulation was at its strongest. And as it moved to the northeast, it looks like it became a little more divergent here. And it's definitely not as strong now as it was just a few minutes ago. So as we watch that rotation just kind of spin up very close to Gilcrease Expressway, Highway 11, 244, right across Mingo, that looked like it was at its peak intensity as it moved right kind of on a very small, quick little path right across I-244. So that is, again, going back in motion here. That's about when it was its strongest, right on I-244 and Memorial, and I-244 and Mingo. So right in there, there's, as that moved off to the northeast, again, we zoom all the way in here, and again, no sign that we had a tornado down with it. As I look at the correlation coefficient, going back, kind of watching that as well, I don't see that we had any conclusive evidence that we had some tornado down with it. So that looks like it's actually a little bit weaker than it was. If we've got this still hanging together, it's just to the west of Catoosa, close to the community of Tiger. Look a little bit further west at our circulation that passed south of Keystone Dam. That one certainly looks a little bit weaker to me right now. We go back to the terminal Doppler radar. I'm going to look, still has a shape there south of Keystone Dam. We go to velocities. There's kind of green coming back toward the radar right here, and the red pushing back away from the radar, so toward and away. So that's one circulation right there. It is not super strong, but it is certainly pronounced, and this one's got kind of that leading edge hook on it as well. You can kind of see that kind of curving down from Keystone State Park. So let me do another updated track on these, because we've had these spin up very quickly. The first circulation located just to the southeast of Manford and west of Prattville right now, close to Wakaiwa Road, south of Highway 51, and that's going to be moving up toward Sand Springs. As we come up to that current picture, here's that track on the storm, again moving to the northeast. I'm going to take the track right all the way up to downtown Tulsa, but Prattville here in the next few minutes. You need to be taking your tornado precautions. Sand Springs, TCC West, all the way down to Berry Hill at 931, Central High School on West Charles Page at about 9, or Edison West there at about 936, downtown Tulsa in all caps at 939, and Utica Square at 942. As we look at the other circulation, what's left of it, that one looks like that was a very quick spin up now. Just to the northwest of Catoosa is what's left of it. We'll do a track on that one. If we've got a tornado forming, it's going to be in this part of the storm here, but so far those rotations have looked a little bit weaker. We'll take this up right across the city of Claremore. So Port of Catoosa really right now, Verdigris, Keatonville 927, Claremore 934, Justice area at about 937, and Will Rogers Downs on to the east of Claremore, between Claremore and the airport at about 941. Now this rotation we watched actually weaken as we were going through some of those radar images just a few minutes ago. Come back to the current picture. The one south of Keystone State Park here west of Prattville still hanging in there. I'm going to check the rotation with it, and again it is still kind of hanging in here. I've got the cursor right on it, so still a little green, a little bit of red, and it is located right where you see that little bitty hook on the leading edge of this storm. As we look further to the northeast, again, what prompted the first original tornado warning right now, as that moves up to the north of Catoosa, we'll check velocity. Velocity's a little bit noisier right now. Certainly don't see what appears to be kind of a defined couplet with it right now. I'm going to tilt up just a little bit, and maybe just to the west of Catoosa, there's still a little bit left here. So kind of right in here would be the circulation. This is going to pass as it moves right up Old Highway 66 toward Verdigris as it crosses 266 here. And no evidence that we have a tornado down with this. The circulation's actually a lot weaker than it was, at least at low levels. I've had to tilt up to see where this circulation has been focused. So that's a little bit of good news. But officially, we still have those 2 tornado warnings in effect. 9:30 for our Creek, Osage, and Tulsa County tornado warning. Mays, Rogers, Tulsa, Wagoner County, that's in effect until 9:45 as we continue to watch what appears to be the stronger circulation right now, moving a little bit closer to Prattville. This is what we kind of worried about all day when we were talking about how strong the atmospheric dynamics were, and that if we got a thunderstorm strong enough, it might be able to tap into that dynamic. And that's kind of what we've seen. That rotation's certainly a lot weaker right now than it was just a few minutes ago. And even the rain and the wind out at Tulsa International Airport has settled down significantly as well. I want to check in with our team coverage continuing. Not only do we have these 2 tornado warnings ongoing in the metro area, we've got a lot of rain falling as well. And Fox23 certified meteorologist Laura Mock has been watching these storms too. And Laura, as we've seen, when these things spin up, they spin up fast.
And I also want to point out that we've been talking a lot about the boundary that these storms would be hanging out at. That boundary is right where these rotating storms are. They are just sitting on that difference between the really warm, humid, unstable air to the south and some slightly more stable air to the north. But that wind direction can be enough. And we're also seeing a lot of these storms that are to the south just surging north into this cluster, this big line of rain that we've been tracking all afternoon, all evening, and sometimes that can be enough to get one of those spins starting. And I think that's exactly what we saw with our Tulsa Airport storm, our Tulsa International Airport storm that formed nearby and then is now getting close to Catoosa. That rotation has weakened significantly. We're still monitoring the rotation just to the west of town very closely. That is approaching the Sand Springs area, and if that continues, if it's able to hold together, it may get a little bit closer to downtown Tulsa. So this is one that we're going to have to watch very, very closely. So I'm going to start on this storm. We're going to zoom in on that, take a closer look as to where that rotation is. We just got a couple radar updates in there. This is the area that we're watching. We're now past Keystone State Park. Here's 412 getting into Sand Springs. Prattville here too. There's another radar update. You can see these storms continuing, these smaller storms to the south surging north into this broad rotation, feeding into that heavy rain. And that's part of the reason why in this part of the storm we're seeing some of that rotation. But again, this is the western part of Tulsa County, just past Keystone State Park, getting into Sand Springs and Prattville. In fact, as we switch over to velocity, we can start to get a better idea of where that rotation is. And actually, I'm going to step off to the screen just to bring us back in time to see how this has evolved. And it looks like we still have hints of the rotation in there, but it doesn't look as strong as it just did maybe a couple minutes ago. So if we did have any rotation, I'd still put it probably, let's bring it back one more time. I'd put it probably somewhere in here, but it's very broad. Now, it's still the area that we're most concerned with because this has the potential to move into a much more populated area. Then as we take a look at our Catoosa storm now, as this has evolved, we definitely saw the rotation as it was coming north off of 412. The rotation on this now kind of between Catoosa and Port of Catoosa, but again, it's definitely not as visible right now. Things are definitely starting to weaken a little bit, but that's just the situation that we have to deal with tonight. With these storms, they can spin up very quickly. We still have those 2 tornado warnings in effect, and you want to take these storms seriously because they still have the potential of spinning up. So this is a storm that we're looking at, Catoosa, verdigris, Port of Catoosa here. As we switch back over to reflectivity, you can still generally make out where that storm is coming through. As you look off on the left side of your screen, a lot of lightning now looking back toward Tulsa. This is taking a look from far east Broken Arrow into town, and there's a lot of lightning associated with these storms and a lot of very heavy rain too, and still the threat of these storms starting to spin up. So Catoosa, that storm is now passing you. Port of Catoosa, you're still kind of in the zone that you want to be taking this seriously, that you want to be in your safe spot. Verdigris still too. This is moving north of 412, about to cross Route 66 here, 44, the Turnpike. If you're in these areas, if you're just along 44 or 66 between Catoosa and Verdigris, you want to be in your safe spot right now. And actually on the radar, it looks like it's trying to get a little bit of a nook right there as well. We'll switch back over to velocity just to check in on that. And it's the velocity on it definitely not as strong as it was, but we're still keeping a very close eye on it. As we zoom things out one more time, give us a better view of the wide view of things, taking a look at the rest of the Tulsa metro. And we just have scattered thunderstorms across the entire area. I'm going to put this on a loop from the last, let's say, the last 30 minutes. And you'll be able to see what I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago, where we have this big cluster of rain here and then more storms starting to feed in from the south. And it does look like that one storm that spun up on the north side of Tulsa was actually able to separate from the other cluster of it. And that's what gave it just enough energy, enough strength to spin up so quickly. And we saw some very strong winds with this, and we're likely still seeing some strong winds continuing to push through the area. And also, just really because the 2 storms are separate, they're both able to stay strong kind of in their own way. A lot of the time when you have this big line of storms, they kind of fight for the energy, and when they're able to have their own, they're able to be stronger. And that's what we were worried about today. Quick spin up tornadoes, and the more isolated a storm can be and the stronger it can be, the more potential it has for having that dangerous tornado threat. We have been watching a couple of smaller rotations with the storms to the south, but none of those have been able to organize quite enough just yet. But as we can see, we still have the potential of this happening tonight. We are not done just yet. We have a flood threat across the metro right now, flash flood warning in effect until late tonight because there's a lot of rain already coming down in the metro, and there's so much more rain to come as we go through the next couple of hours. So if you do not have to be out tonight, the best thing you can do is just stay at home. If you're in these tornado warnings, you need to be in your tornado safe place. So James, we're kind of taking a look at these storms. They were able to strengthen because they were able to separate a little bit more, but overall it looks like the general trend is for them to come down, but there's still some rotation there.
Yeah, the good news is the National Weather Service has dropped this western tornado warning that's for Osage, parts of Tulsa County and Creek County, with that weaker rotation. Want to point out our storm center coverage continues right now on KRMG, News 102.3, AM 740. We're on K95.5, Mix 96.5, and of course we're on 103.3 The Eagle as well, as we continue simulcasting with our Fox 23 storm team coverage on KRMG as well, because we continue with the tornado warning that's in effect for a big part of Tulsa. That's the rotation that Laura was pointing out. I just was able to look at the high resolution Doppler radar, tip that beam up a couple of thousand feet up, not very high, we still have some very strong rotation with this storm just above the ground. So that is the reason why we still have a tornado warning in effect. Now, we can clear Tulsa County out of even that second tornado warning because that rotation continues to move in. Now, here's what I want to show you. I'm going to go to high resolution Doppler radar and I'll kind of show you exactly what I was looking at when we looked at that rotation, if it is even still there. So as we get up to, I'm actually looking 8,000 feet up, just right at the west side of Verdigris right now. You still have some very strong blue, very bright blues here, very bright reds here. So this is some upper level circulation. It's not far above the ground, but it is still strong enough that we're going to continue to watch this very closely. Now you see we come all the way down to the ground and there's just not a whole lot of circulation present right now with this storm, but we continue with this tornado warning. We can clear all of Tulsa, Owasso, Collinsville, Broken Arrow, City of Tulsa. You are in the clear, all clear for those cities as we continue to watch some strong straight line winds also sweep across parts of Rogers County up toward Claremore too. We're going to watch this very closely because once these things spin up once, the tendency is for them to spin up again. We also have a lot of rain, and that's what Fox23 meteorologist Brad Carl has been tracking. And Brad, I've been watching the reports just pile up of rainfall, closed roads, and they just continue to grow right now all across Green Country, especially north of I-44.
That's where the main concern for a lot of this has really been. I've been updating those rainfall totals in terms of what we've been seeing. Updated these just now, just in the last couple minutes, so we'll call it very close to around 9:30 or so. But the big rainfall areas we've been seeing really can still kind of confined to Osage and Pawnee County, where we've been seeing upwards of 4 to 5 plus inches of rain over the last several hours. And we still have additional rain coming on down. These rainfall totals in Pawnee aren't rising as fast as they were, but they're still going up. And so we're likely going to be dealing with flash flooding in that spot for a little while. In Winona, closer to around 4.5 inches for you. Copan, Veneta around 3.5. Nowata around 3.5. And just looking at the Mesonet site now in North Tulsa, because remember Tulsa International up until last little bit didn't really have much in their rainfall gauge. On the north side of the city, we're already up close to around 2 inches, and we didn't have hardly anything about an hour ago. So the rainfall, when it does come, is stacking up very, very quickly. Something else I want you to be aware of as we go on into over the overnight hours, and just for people who absolutely think they need to get out and about. I don't think you do. I think you should just kind of hunker down and stay in place. But just to give you some perspective on how damaging and how dangerous some of that high water can be, all it takes is 6 inches of fast-moving water to knock a person over. Just around a foot of water can float a small car, so it really doesn't take very much. Your car cannot handle nearly as much as you think it can, and even upwards around about 1.5 feet or so would be enough to take away most large cars. And the fact that even if you do think you can cross the road, you're not even necessarily sure if there's still a road underneath all that rushing water. It could have been swept away. There could be a large hole there. You just can't see it, especially at night when you'd be most vulnerable to not being able to see exactly how things are panning on out. So that just makes the danger that much more pronounced once we go into the overnight hours. Things are dark and that much more dangerous. Plus, you just lose control on the roads a lot easier as well. So as James and Laura have already alluded to, if you don't have to be out for this evening, don't be. It's miserable out there anyway, but really it's just not very good for being out and about. Now, of course, this thread of these brief little spin-ups came about very quickly here in Tulsa. It didn't take very long for that to all of a sudden kind of whip on up, and there are still some areas that could be dealing with some of these brief spin-ups overnight. James, you have a look at some of those areas as well as what we're still dealing with right now in the metro.
Yeah, and that flash flooding is going to be the widespread concern for all of us, too. Officially still have that tornado warning that's in effect for Rogers County. I've been able to clear Owasso, Collinsville, and Tulsa. Not going to clear Broken Arrow just yet. I spoke a little too soon. Southeast part of Broken Arrow over toward NSU Tulsa. Still watching again what appears to be another one of those little weak spins on the leading edge of this storm east of Bixby. It's east of Mingo right now, and it continues moving to the northeast. We're not strong enough to deal with calling this a tornado threat yet, but I want to make you aware of it, because that's what we're looking at here. Let's look at velocity. And again, kind of looking kind of right across the Arkansas River, kind of moving in close to Indian Springs Country Club right there. A little bit of rotation. Again, it's not super strong right now, but as it moves to the northeast, could be right along that Creek Turnpike outer loop, or the Creek Turnpike east of Warren Theater, close to County Line Road right here, and then on up toward NSU. So we'll get a blue track on this one as it moves to the northeast, kind of crossing the Arkansas River right now. And again, Childers Middle School, NSU, BA, Oneida, just be ready as this little weak circulation moves to the northeast. Now, as we talked about before, oftentimes these little weak circulations suddenly spin up to something stronger. But so far, this one has not. Looks like actually the official observation from Tulsa International Airport may have seen a funnel cloud earlier in a lightning flash there. So there you go. We did have that tornado warning issued right as that circulation moved. And we had just showed you the Tulsa International view on our Skyview network camera, and you could see the rain just whipping in horizontally with that strong wind. That was likely the edge of that rotation that had the tornado in the center of it. Now, high resolution Doppler radar, again,